most of these factories, they are not registered. You will go to communities where you see a pure water industry hidden inside a compound. Who gave them licenses? So I think even before the government comes in, government should first of all go ahead and begin to license these people, know how they are sourcing for their water. Because people are dying every day. For me, I don't even dare take anything like sachet water because I don't know mostly where they bring it from. I'm not saying that all the bottled water is. Government should first of all, before they begin to talk about reduction in price, they should go ahead first of all to make sure that water that are coming from these factories are clean, and at the end of the day, people can take them to live their good life. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
All right, we have Sandra Kenneth joining us. Sandra, good to have you.
Good evening, Maxwell.
Water producers are saying that they have issue of power, cost of production is high, and if care is not taken in the nearest future, they will increase the price of water. Give us more details.
More details about it. I think we heard from Maxine, a lot of things. I mean, it's not just about water. We have other companies, we have other goods, that are being affected, other products that are being affected. So basically, I feel like waivers, when you affected, even as we buy the water from these people who produce them, we are also paying taxes too. Everything is involved, and we spend more. While it goes to government's coffers, it goes to their own coffer. The person that is just drinking water is losing. So they have to look into all of that and,
Thank you, Sandra.
Do better.
We appreciate you. All right, we'll go over to the last story, where the Academic Staff Union of Universities ASU South-South Zone has called on Nigerians to urge the federal government and state government to prioritize education. South-South Zonal Coordinator Stanley Ogun made this appeal in a communique read in Port Harcourt, accusing the government of exacerbating the crisis in the public universities. Ogun stated that the government is deliberately colluding with political elites and selected bureaucrats to undermine and cripple public universities through privatization efforts. Ogun criticized the government for underfunding public universities while spending on other projects, leading to the gradual decay of the educational system.
As part of our union's concerted effort towards mitigating the deliberate provocation by governments across board to proceed on an industrial action, we're calling on all well-meaning Nigerians to prevail on governments at the federal and state levels to prioritize education as a proven path to national development. Through acts of deliberate delay and nonchalance, government is fanning the embers of crisis in the public university system.
The union called on well-meaning Nigerians to press the government to increase budgetary allocations to education at all levels and to respect the principle of collective bargaining.
From these sincere utterances of government to deliberate connivance between the political elites and select bureaucrats, public university space is being emasculated and crippled to enact an overall conquest towards feeding their primitive and compulsive economic dominance of all sectors. We know that the biggest problem of the public university system and education generally is
fund universities. Sandra, every reasonable government world over, even in African countries, know the value of education. One of the major issues we have in our society when it comes to criminality and societal vices is lack of education. A man without something in his head, Satan will also put something else in his head, and then they become a menace to the society. But it seems as though the government is so nonchalant, all their children are abroad. How come we've degenerated to this level where you look at UI, which is a premier university? These are men who attended these universities. These universities were well funded in the 70s, in the 80s and early 90s. They enjoyed these universities. In fact, I have a senior friend who is an engineer who told me that he attended UNN. They were operating their hostels like hotels. They were eating half chicken each time they eat. When you hear these stories, you wonder, is this the same Nigeria that I'm now living in? But go to our universities, nothing is happening. The university VCs will say, oh, they are doing this, they are doing research, they are doing, but we know all is bobo juice. Let us face the fact. Should we be the ones begging government to fund their own, universities?
One thing I've observed over the years is misplaced priority. It's not just about begging. I feel like ASU come out every time to talk and complain. I think it's high time the people just lend their own voice, instead of allowing ASU to do this fight alone. And then, lending your voice means you need to, the government at that point will now understand that it is now becoming a pain. It is not like ASU's problem. It is now a national problem, because education has actually proven that it's a pathway to national development. It is how you intend to develop it that matters. You will not tell me that as a government that thinks well for the people, you will underfund our institution. We are talking about a 5% budgetary fund for educational institutions across the country. Exactly.
So it's not even up to 10%.
It is not up to 10% across the country. We are talking about some of these lecturers that I've spoken to. They say they don't earn up to $200. And then you expect them to give out quality.
Holder, the average doctor earns around one something.
Exactly. So there are a lot of things. I feel like if we are actually intentional, even as the people, let us demand that people working in public offices, that their children should attend public universities. At that point, you see a difference. And then you will recall that there was a time World Bank advised our president, former president, and then this recent administration is also trying to take up that. When they talked about student loan, we're talking about student loan. World Bank, that is looking at the academic indices, the economic indices of UK and US, is what you want to compare to our own. I feel like we don't really know how to calculate ourselves based on how our system is working. Because if you want to calculate yourself with, some of these African countries. I have a lot of African countries with their lecturers that are doing very well. Lecturers in some of these African countries, they earn more than $1,000.
Yes, our lecturers are moving
and some
to
of them
South
have
Africa,
moved. I know about a lecturer that has moved to not anywhere, just an African country here, and he's doing very well. So I feel like there are a lot of things that needs to be done. Now, what I feel like government is trying to do is to privatize this whole system and then making it very, very expensive. When I was in my 100 level, I paid 40-something thousand, including my registration and everything. People who were in their 200 level at the time paid 11,000 naira for their school fees. When I entered my 200 level, I paid 16,000 naira as school fees. But right now, the average
fee is 100 and something thousand.
You can imagine the whole thing.
No, let me call schools. So River State University, Ignatius Ajuri University, is 100 plus.
So I
for
feel,
indigenous, so
exactly. So I feel like there needs to be a deliberate attempt. I don't think government will want to do, because from 2009 till date, a lot of things have been going on that have been going badly. From them making promises and then not fulfilling these promises and all of that. A lot of back and forth. I feel like the people needs to come out at this point. Right. They need to come out, make their demands, make it known. Parents need to come out. Children needs to come out. Even when the lecturers go to classes, let students not be. Will not be available. If the system is not working right, you will not be able to produce better. Let's look at our medical system, our lecturers from that, our medical doctors. How many of them actually do research? How many of them have a textbook to their name? So it has to do with intentional research. We have a lot of herbs that needs to really be. You need to fund these doctors. You need to fund the lecturers in that field for them to make good research and give us good things. Not to see a lot of textbooks these days, not from medical, other departments. See a lot of textbooks that looks exactly like the ones before. I finished school up to 8-9 years ago, and I'm giving somebody my textbook of those days, and it's almost the same thing. Let's have research. A lot of things are happening. Imagine you graduate from political science, a lot of things that they have taught you, or you're studying law, things are changing at the court, at judiciary, things are changing. You travel out, you do things. So the people need to come out and make demand. They need to stand put on whatever they want from the government.
Thank you very much, Sandra. We appreciate you.
You're welcome.
Well, you will not blame them. Some of them even have certificate issues. So why would they fund university education? And of course, most of them, their children are abroad. So they like sending their children to areas where someone else has built with the same brain, with 2 hands, 2 eyes, 1 nose, and 1 mouth. But they have refused to build theirs so that other people can also bring. Rather, what they are busy doing is to give licenses to themselves to open private universities. Yes, good evening.
Good evening, my brother.
Yes, go ahead.
Good evening, yes. From Elebrademo, I am here.
Yes, please.
Hello?
Yes, sir, we can hear you, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, see, education in Nigeria has come to a shortfall. Very big one, great one. From the primary level to the tertiary level. So I can understand. If the education is like what it was today, I think today the senior students in the university wouldn't have fallen into that victim of inferno that they got in their school. You see what somebody is saying, that in their days they were eating as half chicken in the hostel. Who is cooking? They have.
Oh, please call back if you can. Yes, that's what Engineer Took is his name. He's my very good friend. He's a head of a parastatal in Niger Delta State. He said they really enjoy school. Of course, he was decrying the level of dilapidation in our schools. And he told me that he can tell me vividly that government have abdicated their responsibility, that schools then were funded by government. Yes, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Maxwell.
Honorable Chris, go ahead.
Yeah. Education in Nigeria. If you want education in Nigeria to be at standard level, to tell you the truth, I remember when I was in primary school and secondary school, one of the counselor side of villagers was schooling with us that time. You know what they used to bring food? They used to bring motor. They used to use motor and bring food. And then any day they brought food to the school. Hey, that time I know I am one of the special advisors to the guy. My stomach will be, I will thank God on that very day. See, that guy left our school. I think close to 1 week, or more than 1 week. People don't know what I was feeling. Tell me, if any of these politicians, their children are schooling, tell me how security will, how security and how they will punish the school. You know how these people love their children. So until they make law, every government official, every politician should bring their children to school in Nigeria. I cannot be paying my tax. You employ Nigeria to your country. I'm paying you, you use the money. Instead of you to bring the money here, you use it to send your children abroad. My own children are the ones that are good to study in some of the primary
Thank you,
schools.
Honorable Chris.
The one in front of my house.
Thank you.
I go to the land there.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll do a rundown of all the stories. Indigenes of Nkpolu Oroworuko accused Minister of FCT Nyesom Wike of orchestrating scheme to forcibly seize their land. How can the River State government come into this matter? Nkpolu Oroworuko is an Ekwere-speaking community. The community where the FCT minister, who is being accused, comes from, Rume Prikom, is also an Ekwere-speaking community. In fact, Rume Prikom is at mile 4. Nkpolu Oroworuko is at mile 3. So you can see it's just, I think, 100 naira. How can the state government come in